Hi, guys, welcome back. I keep trying to tell you each and every day that adding a 30-minute walk to your life will literally change your life for the better, guaranteed. Today's YouTuber that we're going to eavesdrop in on is Krissy the Whimsy. And Krissy the Whimsy took a 30-day walking challenge for 30 minutes a day, and it changed her life, and I want you to hear about it. I hope you enjoy.
I've struggled with my weight for the last 20 years. So I've been able to lose weight at some points, doing various diets and things, but it always kind of comes back, and I've not been able to maintain a healthier weight for myself. So that's another factor behind this 30-day walking challenge, because I felt like if I could just jumpstart this, what else could it lead to? And I'm thinking about that now. Like, what else could this possibly lead to? I'm thinking about jumping rope. I'm thinking about squats. I'm thinking about continuing the walking challenge. Maybe even challenge myself to run. I don't know about the running, but let me know what you think in the comments below. So day one of the challenge, I was winded. I was out of breath. I did not expect that, but that motivated me to keep going on the challenge. So day 2, 3, 4, 5, I was up. I was ready to get it done. I found that if I laid my exercise clothes out, that I would be set up for success, and anything that would just kind of make it more streamlined is what I wanted to do. About day 6 or 7, I did hit a plateau because I didn't feel like walking. Today was day 8 of my 30-day walking challenge, and I'll be honest with you, I was not motivated at all to do this walk, but I got up, decided to get my steps in. Even though I knew it was just 30 days, I felt like this is going to take a long time, and I definitely was unmotivated to keep going.
I'm so glad she said this. Walking works for everybody, but sometimes people don't like that on day 8 or day 80 that you haven't seen any results yet. Sometimes you just have to remember you're 40 or 50 years old, the time has flown by. Even if it takes us 6 months to a year of walking before you start to see some significant weight loss, it's totally worth it, and it's still going to go that quick. Be patient. But I remembered that I needed to stay resilient, and I needed to be intentional. And I reminded myself of my why. What was the reason why I was doing this in the first place? And that helped me get my butt out the door. And I'm glad I did, because a few days after that, like around day 10, I started feeling like I was hitting my stride. I was actually looking forward to the walk, which surprised me. It actually felt like something I had to do, not necessarily like a chore. It felt like something I had to do to feel better, to feel good. And I came to realize that it was a bit of self-care that was going on. So I was like, okay, this is good. So as I mentioned, I just finished my last walk, but I want to tell you what my results were. So I told you at the beginning of the video that my starting weight was 246.5 pounds. So I jumped on the scale and I actually lost weight, which I was surprised because I didn't adjust my eating habits. So I didn't make any real adjustments there. I did drink a little bit of water, more water here and there, but I just wanted to focus on the walking. So I wasn't expecting to lose any weight, but my current weight is 241 pounds. So I lost 5.5 pounds, and I'm actually feeling good about that. I really was not expecting to lose much weight. The other benefits, I do have more energy. I am noticing that before I would be really sluggish when I woke up in the morning, but lately when I get up and out of bed, I'm ready to start my day. And I attribute that to the walking, because I definitely have more energy, and that was something I desperately needed, because I used to be so sluggish about waking up and even feeling like I needed a nap during the day. I was incredibly exhausted, especially after all those cancer treatments. So this is the first time that I've been feeling like a lot of energy, which is really, really good. It does give you more energy. It does help you sleep better. It does help you lose weight. It does help you improve your mental health and your mental state of mind and the way you have, your outlook on life. Walking is literally a miracle drug. I think everyone should try it. Let's finish out what she has to say here. This is awesome. The other thing I noticed during the walks was I felt more clear in my mental. I felt more clarity of mind. I felt like my thoughts were just flowing quickly. I was coming up with ideas.
Like, I really underestimated the mental benefits to walking. So the clarity was just phenomenal. And if I need to keep walking so I can keep my thoughts clear and my mindset on point, then that's benefit enough. So I wish I had taken my measurements in the beginning, but I did create a downloadable walking guide. You can check it out in the comments, and it has everything you need if you want to get started on your walking journey. It has an exercise tracker and a daily log for you to keep track of your walk. And if you're interested, check the link down in the comments below. So with all those benefits, I have to say, I am motivated to keep going. I am kind of toying with the idea of doing an additional 30 days and not breaking my stride. I definitely am looking forward to the walks more. So they have become like a part of my day. Like, you know how people get up, they get their cup of coffee. I feel like for me, I get up and I get my walk in for the day, and that gives me enough boost that I need to take on the day. So it's something I might continue to, might be a 60-day challenge. So I don't know. I'll find out. I'll update you when I know. But let me know in the comments below what you think I should do.
You should walk. Not only for the next 30 days, but for the next 30 years, Krissy the Whimsy. Keep on walking. Listen, you want to know something? You need 2 cups of coffee every morning to wake up. But you want to know something? When you were a little kid and you went to school each day, all it took you to wake up was that 10-minute walk to school. If you start incorporating a 30-minute walk right before you go to work every single day, quitting coffee can probably become a reality in the future. Losing weight can become a reality in the future, and you'll probably start having better production at work and make some more money, right? Why don't you guys go get your shoes? Let's go for a walk. Good morning, Venters. Maria Branyas was born on March 4th, 1907, and later moved to Spain with her family. She was born in America. She was recognized as the world's oldest person, and she lived in a Catalan nursing home where she passed away the day before yesterday, August 20th, 2024. She was known as the Super Catalan Grandmother online, which I thought was really neat. And she is quoted as saying, "We are often underestimated and not given the respect we deserve. Our experiences and wisdom should be valued, not dismissed." Because she felt like what we do is we kind of disassociate from the elderly as they get older. And I thought that was a little sad, but very, very much true. She was recognized as the world's oldest person before she passed away. And I thought that was really incredible, 117 years old. Society needs to change its perspective on aging. Well, Grandma, what's the best way we can make that happen? We can make that happen by raising the bottom. What do you mean, Jesse? Well, why don't we try our darndest to join her by living to be over 100, by being as healthy as we can before we reach 100. And the best way we could do that is to drink the water that this planet provides us, to avoid the sugar that's processed, right? And not provided by nature, but processed up by man, right? And then we can walk every day with the legs that we were given to walk on this land with. So I say, hey, Maria, awesome job, Catalan grandmother. Miss Branyas, you are an inspiration to all Venters, and you should be an inspiration to all people around the world. She had so many children and great-grandchildren. I'll try to put that number up here. I thought it was really, really neat how long she lived. And it was really interesting seeing her birthday in 1907, you know. Let's see here. She was born in 1907, on March 4th. What a neat day to be born. And the fact that she was born in California, I thought that was just cool. So while she gets to be Spain's national treasure, she's really got a little bit of ties here to America, which is always neat. What's trippy when I saw the birthday of 1907 is that my grandmother was born in 1924, and just to know this woman was quite a bit older than my grandma, you know? Gosh, I wish my grandma could live to be 117 on this planet, right? Because I believe she's still alive out there in heaven, right? But imagine if I knew that my grandmother was going to live to be 117, that would mean ultimately that she is still going to live for another 15 years or so, right? 20 years. God, that would be a real gift. But at the same time, I believe the last 15 or 20 years of her life, this Catalan grandmother lived in a nursing home there in Spain. And I don't know about you, but I don't know if I would want to live in a nursing home for the last 20 years of my life or so. You know, there's some beauty in living healthfully, and if you absolutely need to be assisted in everything you do, that might not be the most enjoyable life, but at the same time, what an accomplishment, huh? There has to come a point in your life when you're that elderly where you actually start to question, did God forget to give me a shut-off switch? You know? Because let's be honest, most people don't even make it close to 100. So if all of a sudden you're living to be 117 or pushing 120, very, very awesome achievement, Grandma. Very, very awesome achievement. What do you guys think of that? Is that just unreal or what? And I don't know about you, but I love hearing stories of resilience like that. What I don't like hearing is that she felt like people didn't really listen to her and kind of probably ignored her in her elderly age. You know, the truth is, I heard a lot about her now in her passing, right? But I didn't really hear too much about her when she was living. Now, apparently she had a handle online, so some people did know about her, but it would have been kind of neat if we revered her enough to make her a worldwide treasure like she deserved to be known for. I always wonder if there's parts of this world where maybe they don't have the best media coverage, maybe they didn't keep the best records right back in the day, and you just always wonder, is there someone somewhere that might be even older that we just haven't discovered and don't know about yet, you know? So, but I don't think so. I think when you live to be 115, 120 years old, that's unbelievable. I don't know about you guys, but there was a time in my life where I wanted to live to be 100. But after seeing my grandmother struggle physically and mentally the last 8-9 years of her life, I don't know if I would want to live that long, but I still think living to maybe 85 or 90, where you're able to walk, where you have control of your mental faculties and your physical body, I think that would be ideal. And just like Kenny Rogers says in his song, The Gambler, the best that you could hope for is to die in your sleep. And I agree with that statement. I don't know about you. I don't want a traumatic death filled with drama and grief and sadness. I would rather have one of those situations where, you know, maybe you just go to sleep that night, not thinking anything of anything, and maybe somewhere in the night you just kind of pass very peacefully, very, very happily in your sleep. Does anyone else agree with that? That would be the nicest way to go. A nice long life without any physical or mental pains or griefs, where you can just kind of go to be with the Lord in peace. I think that would be the nicest way. And whenever we hear stories of people dying peacefully in their sleep, it always seems to go down a little bit easier. It's kind of that spoonful of sugar that helps the medicine go down. Because I think we all know that there is going to be a day out there where we do take our last breaths, right? And it's a little scary. Have you ever held your breath And after about 15, 20, 30 seconds, you're like, oh my God, this is uncomfortable. And you end up breathing, right? Well, I always picture that last breath on earth and wonder, do people look out and realize there's no more breath to take? This is my last breath. What happens in those situations? Because man, I just don't know if that would be very enjoyable either. But again, if you sleep through that moment, maybe that would be a nice way to go. I don't necessarily like talking about passing on and stuff, but one of my beliefs as a Christian is that we do have eternal life, right? Through our Lord and Savior Jesus. Now, I know that if you're a non-believer, this is usually where you roll your eyes, but wouldn't it be really neat if you were wrong and I was right, and you take your final breath, and then you wake up much like Dorothy did on The Wizard of Oz, where she woke up when she came back from Oz, and you remember she was looking at all the farm hands, and she was like, you were there, you were there, you were there. Wouldn't it be really neat if that's how heaven was? Where you woke up and all of a sudden you were telling all these people that were still very much alive, right? And you were telling them about how you lived in this world, not Oz, but Earth, right? And that they were all a part of it. And that she thought that everybody was gone, but at the end of it all, she finally knew, hey, there is no place like home. There is no place like home. So in that story, the home would be heaven, right? We go home to heaven and we realize that this place called Earth, while beautiful in its own way, had a lot of sadness attached to it. And like I said earlier, a couple months back, if heaven is all about bliss and happiness, I think there would come a time where we would want to know, what's misery feel like? What's temptation feel like? What does grief and jubilation, and anger, what do these emotions feel like? And if they don't exist in heaven, and if we are eternal, I could see some of us wanting to come down to this place called Earth, this little simulation down here, to kind of see what those feelings feel like. We all seem to love scary movies, right? But if you actually would want to be in the scary movie, and it's not a movie, it's real life, if you wanted to experience those things in real life, they might be a little too much for our hearts and minds to handle. But we do seem to enjoy watching those movies, right? Well, in a weird way, what if Earth is simply a giant movie, a giant stage? And what if we as eternal beings wanted to come down here and experience all this stuff? I know it sounds crazy, but all these things that we fear in life, cancer, mortality, bad things happening like car crashes and plane crashes, all these things, they are experiences if you're an eternal being, right? Now here's the problem. What if we're not eternal? What if there is no post-mortem life, right? What if there is no heaven? Well, that means that every single minute we're on this earth counts. So no matter how you look at it, that there's an eternal life out there or an eternal darkness, no matter how you look at it, we still owe it to ourselves to live the best life that we can here. So that means not only do you want to be physically happy, but you want to be mentally happy too. That's the key. How can we be mentally happy and physically happy? And where do the two intersecting lines meet? Because I think that's what you find when you do things like take a walk, when you read a book, when you empathize with others, when you try to be the best version of yourself. That's what life's about. Realizing that we're more than likely not immortal. Realizing that scientifically speaking, there's no way we can guarantee an afterlife, right? And that's where faith comes in. Faith is about believing in something that hasn't been proven mathematically on paper, hasn't been proven scientifically, right? You can't know for sure, otherwise it wouldn't be faith, it would be knowledge, And the reality is, if we are here for only a short amount of time and nobody knows the expiration date, then why aren't you calling your family members and saying, let's get together for a meal?
Why aren't you calling your kids and letting them know how much you love them? Why aren't you calling your folks and letting them know how much that you really appreciate the great childhood they provided for you? You know, some of these things we just assume, hey, my mom and dad know how much I love them, right? But the reality, this could be that day they wake up and say, gosh, I haven't talked to my kids in 3 years. Isn't it almost criminal? Isn't it almost criminal how long we go in between visiting very important people in our lives? One of the things that I can't get over is that for how much I love my grandmother and my Uncle Dave and my family members that are no longer with us, I never really went out of my way as an adult to see them as much as I could have. And that's kind of problematic for me. And what's problematic now is I have a talking piece where I can talk to people who are very down to earth, because that's how I view a lot of you, very down to earth, very good people. I don't want you guys to have these same regrets. And the reality is, if it were all to end tomorrow, some of you guys would very much have those regrets. If your kids live in another state, you're already in a situation where you're lucky if you get to see them once or twice a year. Gosh, I just don't think that's good enough. You know, we do have Zoom, we do have Teams chat rooms, we do have the ability to put a webcam on and be right in the presence of our loved ones just like that. You know, so if you're capable of doing those things into your 50s, 60s, and 70s, reach out to your kids on the other side of the country. Don't just have a phone call with them. Have a video call with them so that they can see you, you know? Because one of the things that blows me away is how grandparents will see their grandchildren when they're little kids. And then you know how young parents are. They're willing to move across the country for different employment opportunities, right? And all of a sudden, the next time grandparents see their kids, they're no longer 30 or 40 pound little preschoolers. You know, now they're 150 pound high schoolers. And it just seems like a real shame not to see your grandkids that much, you know? I get bummed out when I go 3 or 4 months without seeing my daughter and my son. And for anybody that's new, I haven't seen my son in a couple of years. The last time I saw him was when we were finding out the sex of my granddaughter. We were doing a gender reveal, right? And so we found out that she was a girl, and that was 2.5 years ago. And if you would have seen my son and I at the table drinking sodas and eating cake and having a celebration with the family, you would have assumed that we were best of friends and the closest father and son in the world. But you couldn't have been further from the truth. And I wish I could tell you that we had this horrible blow up, but the last half dozen times I've been in my son's presence, we always have a good time together. So again, it's one of those weird things where he's just kind of doing his own thing in life, and he doesn't necessarily want to have anything to do with me currently. Again, is he angry with me? I don't think so. But what the hell else could it be? You know, I'm going through birthdays and Christmases and Father's Days without one single text from him. And then when I try to reach out to him, it's crickets and silence. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if maybe as a young adult, he has kind of looked back at the situation where me and his mom split up. And maybe he's just come to a point where, you know what, I'm just going to keep my dad in my past and I'm going to move forward without looking back. Because let's be honest, some people are like that, you know. The thing that's sad is, I have a feeling if I were to disappear off this earth tomorrow, I have a feeling for the next 50, 60 years, however long my son lived, I have a feeling he would feel guilty about not being in my life, because I'm telling you, I feel horrible about not being in my father's life, especially when I have that knowledge that my father lived about 5 minutes away from me for most of his and my adult life. There's something very disheartening about that, you know? So again, why do I bring this up? Well, if you think about it, guys, I bring this up about once a month. There's a disconnect in this world, and it's not just disconnect between friends. You know, you used to talk to your friend in person, now they're your Facebook buddy, and you chat with them every once in a blue moon, and you wish them a happy birthday every birthday, but there's no intent to get back together and make that friendship what it used to be, right? Well, that's what we're doing with our friends and family. You know, we're starting to be okay with seeing our family on a Facebook post. And I don't know about you, but we should not be looking at a two-dimensional picture of our family members. We should be in person celebrating birthdays and anniversaries and special occasions with them. One of the things that I think is interesting, especially when it comes to dieting, is there's so much separation and divorce in this world that you very rarely have Christmas with the family anymore. What do you mean? I do, Jesse. Bob, what I mean by that is we have Christmas with our dad, we have Christmas with our mom and our stepdad, and then with dad we have Christmas with our stepmom. And before you know it, you do that on both sides of a marriage, and instead of going to a Christmas family get-together, you're going to 4 Christmas family get-togethers because everyone's divorced twice over. And when Christmas becomes a situation where all you're doing is lugging around kids in the car to go to 3 or 4 different locations and maybe even a flight somewhere out of the state, it becomes really, really a weird situation. Because when I was younger, we didn't hear about having 3 or 4 Christmas parties and get-togethers. When I was younger, it was, hey, I'm gonna go to the folks' house to celebrate Christmas. You know, that's what it was. But again, now you have multiple parents in every household, it seems. So you would think, okay, multiple parents, that's more love to go around, but it's the opposite. What happens is you end up going to 1 or 2 houses out of your 3 or 4 parents, and the other 2 get a, you know, hey, we'll get together next year. And then you guys know how I feel about tomorrow and next year. It never comes. So again, how can we learn from mistakes of others? I bet you there's some grandchildren and great-grandchildren that didn't get a chance to call Miss Branius before she passed away. There's probably some of those great-grandkids that probably have no idea who their great-grandma is, other than the occasional, you know, social media post that she made. I was able to get my granddaughter a picture with my grandma before she passed away. And could you imagine, you're almost 100 years old and you're holding not your granddaughter, not your great-granddaughter, but your great-great-granddaughter in your hands. My grandmother got to experience that. I wonder what that's like to be nearly a century old and to be holding your newest part of your family tree, your newest family member, as they're an infant or a little baby, right? So I thought that was really, really cool. You know, what is that, 4 or 5 generations of grandmas or daughters there? You know, very, very neat. And it's just interesting. I wonder if Dagny's going to appreciate the fact that her great-great-grandma was a mariachi. I still get a kick out of that, don't you guys? Oh my goodness, I just love the elderly people. Is it because I'm slowly but surely becoming elderly? I don't know, guys. To be honest with you, there are days where I wake up where I still feel 18, 19, 20 years old. Do any of you guys feel that way? You know, does walking make you guys feel a little bit better than you thought it would? You know, sometimes when you take a look at your walking accomplishments, you know, like, hey, I've walked every day for the past 2 weeks. You know, some people look at that and they say, who cares? I look at that and I say, that's an accomplishment. And if any of you have been walking with me since day one without missing a single day, which at one point in my life I kind of doubted, but at this point I'm pretty sure that a lot of you guys are in it with me and you do walk every single day. Isn't it amazing to think we've walked 150 some odd days together in a row? You know, me babbling for 150 plus days in a row. That's friendship. That's commitment. You guys have probably spent more time with me over the past 150 days than many of your friends and family members. That's a good positive thing for me to know in my heart, but that might not be a good thing for you to know in your heart. You know? You guys need to pick up the phone and get closer with your family members, because no one is telling them to pick up the phone and be closer with you. So the onus is on you. Is there a reason for everything in this world? Is there a grand creator of everything? Is everything already known? Because if so, maybe there's a reason you're supposed to be hearing my words today. Call that old friend that you haven't connected with in a while. I have a lot of mentors that I really like. I mean, really legitimately cool, down-to-earth people that I really enjoy talking to each and every day. One of my favorites is Sixpack Shawn. Take a look at Shawn and his two brothers here. Now, Shawn's 50 years old, so I assume his brothers are close to 50. One might be a little older, one might be a little younger, but that's where they are in life, right? 50-year-old-ish brothers. If Shawn gets to see his brothers all the time, it's a blessing. But if Shawn only gets to see his brothers once every couple years, then whenever you get that chance, you've got to take it. Your brothers are going to take their final breath one day. You're going to take your final breath one day. Your sister's going to take her final breath one day. And nobody knows when that day is. So when you're... Get this booger out of my face. So when you're going through life and you know that there's an expiration date for each and every one of us, but you don't know that day, then by not picking up the phone and not being in their lives, what are you doing other than gambling? Right? You would never gamble money away, but you're gambling the idea of speaking to your family members. And if you don't get that chance, I'm telling you, you're going to wish you had that chance. So let's finish off this last minute or two in positivity. There are people out there that love you. And one of the best ways you can show your love is to be the healthiest version of yourself. So walk every single day. Don't poo-poo the idea of water. Drink water. Quit drinking the soda. Cut down on the negatives. If you can't cut them out, cut them down at least. And accentuate your positives. Avoid sugar. Choose the banana and the orange over the Snickers and the Twix, okay? Try to work out every single day. Good morning. If you can do push-ups and sit-ups or go to the gym and lift weights, do it. But if you can't, put your shoes on and walk. And even if you're afraid to walk, hey, I've got fainting spells. Hey, I have this, that, and the other condition. It's dangerous for me. Okay, then don't leave your house to walk. Put your shoes on or put your slippers on, watch TV, and walk back and forth across the room. Stay moving, stay active. And on that same note, what's the point of staying physically active if you let your mind deteriorate? Go buy that book of crossword puzzles at the store. Go buy that Sudoku book. If you're good at doing things on your phone, open up some Sudoku puzzles from the App Store and challenge your brain. Pick up the Good News Network and read a story or two in addition to watching them. Read a book. Keep your mind active and going. And you know as well as I do, you start reading, it's like a muscle. You'll get better at it. We got to read more than just a comment section on videos, right? We got to do more than just the bare minimum. How do we do that in a world where everyone does the bare minimum? We use Kaizen, we use baby steps. So if you know in your heart that you're eating 5 donuts and you can't go to 0, I understand. Cut down to 3 or 4. And then from 3 or 4 in a couple of days or a couple of weeks, we'll try to cut down to 1 or 2. We're going to do this together. I'm with you every day. And so is Sixpack Shawn and Mala and Lily. The whole 9 yards, they're all with you guys every single day. So I wish you guys a beautiful day. Stay positive, keep walking, do some extra credit, and we'll see you tomorrow.